I'm worried about the next federal election for two reasons. One, people like this who look at singular polls and assume that their person is going to win in a landslide. And two, the fact that people don't understand that federal polling does not indicate what the seat count will be. So for reference, the last time that Pierre polled at +8 was at the beginning of June, and it was Angus Reid, which is notoriously known for overestimating conservative support. But even recently, we have Abacus data at +7 conservative, and Main Street at +6. And so I don't blame somebody for looking at all these polls and thinking, wow, the conservatives have it in the bag. Pierre has it in the bag. Except that's not how elections work. Because Pierre's federal polling numbers show an aggregate across the entire country. And in places like Saskatchewan and Alberta, Pierre polls at 60, 70, 80% in some ridings. Whereas there's going to be a lot of ridings in Ontario, in BC, in Quebec, where the Conservatives lose by 1 or 2%. Because even right now, with the Conservatives polling on average higher than the Liberals, we can see that the Liberals are more likely to get more seats, with the odds of a Liberal minority being 51%. And even if the Conservatives win the most amount of seats, they're not going to have any party that is willing to work with them in order to form government. Because in Canada, we have a parliamentary system, and the party that wins the most amount of seats does not necessarily get to form government. You need the support of 50% of the House. And when the NDP, Green Party, and Bloc Québécois all are not willing to work with Pierre, Pierre will be completely unable to form government, which I am sure will lead to people accusing Trudeau of being a dictator, or overthrowing the democratically elected person, or the election was rigged, or blah blah blah. But maybe, just maybe, if Pierre wants to be prime minister, he should just pander a little bit to the other 65% of the population. And maybe in places that are a little more population dense, like BC, Ontario, and Quebec, you know, the provinces that really don't seem to like Pierre right now. If you're a conservative voter looking at this and thinking, well, this isn't fair, you're right. You should be advocating for a switch to either proportional representation, ranked ballot, or both. But not to rain on your parade, but even in proportional representation, the Conservatives still would not be able to form government because they'd have to work with either the NDP or the Bloc, and neither of those parties would. And with ranked ballot, it would probably benefit the NDP and the Liberals more than the Conservatives. You're stuck between a rock and a hard place, because either you can say it's unfair and stick with the same system, or you can say it's unfair and ask for a new system, but that new system will be less biased in your favor. Because that's how parliamentary democracies work. You have to be open to working with as many people as possible. You can't just strong-arm your way through it.